Hey guys, welcome back. Today we have Ray from the channel Ray Rambles, and he's gonna give us a tour of his Mazda MPV minivan.
Well, I'm late 50s and I was stuck in front of a television, and that was my path. I was gonna be sedentary. I've lost about 50 pounds in the last 6 months. Got out doing that, and I'm like, it's not kind of not a fear, but I just wanted to get out, meet people, and meet more people out than I did living in the neighborhood. Sometimes you don't meet as many people as you do when you're out on the road. But this is a choice for me, so I'm not forcing or anything, but I do enjoy it. But I also do like having the security of knowing that I could go somewhere and I can escape the weather. This is a 2006 Mazda MPV minivan camper. Has about 85,000 miles on it now. One of the cool things about this van is that you can pick these up with low miles for under $5,000. They're smaller than a Toyota, a Sienna, and an Odyssey. So, I mean, it's fun to drive and you can get into tight spaces. It is harder on the build if you're taller, because there's way less room. It's shorter and it's not as wide. So even with all of this gear on top of this thing, I still get 19 miles a gallon. Now, not steep mountains, drops to 15, but that's still pretty impressive for all of that. The rig is 7 foot 7 inches tall. Now that's with the little Starlink satellite mount. When it's down, it's 7 foot 7 inches tall, which is pretty tall for a little minivan. Front wheel drive, definitely not made to be off-road or anything like that.
What is the most surprising thing that you learned really about yourself in this process?
Wow, patience. I have more patience than I thought I had. You know, I didn't intend to have all of this the way it was. It just started out as fun, put a few things in, and then I kept tinkering and kept adding, and then I burned out. I mean, this thing it's almost 2 years now. So basically burned out, and it came back because I didn't want to add certain things. And I said, okay, I'm going to do that now. And then I do that. And then I felt really good because I finally went through with it. Probably that I had more patience with something like this than I did, but also learning. I went to YouTube University and I had to learn how to do it. You know, it's just amazing what you can learn how to do. I had a lot of skills, but not some of the skills for those.
And so you said just now that you've been kind of on this process for about 2 years. Has your perspective on like materialism or any of that changed? Maybe going from a house to a home to...
Well, I still have sticks and bricks, so I'm not a full-timer or anything. Yep. So yeah, what you can be comfortable in, that has changed. But I mean, I've had an RV in the past, but that was luxury compared to something like this. It's just, but I haven't given everything up or anything like that. I'm not a total minimalist, but I have a better appreciation for what you can do in a smaller space and for what you really need. I have way too much on this thing, but that's a process of me scaling down. I already can tell you that I need way less than that. I mean, literally, this process. Okay, so that's a really good point. This process, I now know as I've gotten in, there are all these things I thought I needed, and I overbuilt everything, and I'm like, oh my God, don't need that. That's a pain. Don't do this. That's not functional. Shouldn't have done that. Didn't need this. So I really, really overthought it. That's part of my personality. But everybody says this. I didn't do it. Don't overthink it. Go do it first and then figure it out. I'm glad I did everything I did, because I did. And I'm also glad that all of this stuff I can take most of this with me, all this expensive stuff, to another vehicle, so I don't look at it as a loss or whatever. I don't have a lot of regrets on the inside build. That was just fun, finding all making every little bitty thing fit. I love all that, super comfortable. So I don't really have regrets on the inside. It's more of all of this is just, also it's kind of like a thief magnet or whatever. People, you're like, so I'm worried. This is causing me to worry about it. Whereas if it were stealthy, that's one thing I can't do. I regret not making something stealth. This thing, I can't go anywhere. I could go in a neighborhood, I can't go anywhere. And there's no quick way for me to roll into a neighborhood and camp and be stealth. So I don't do that. this is more like your 2-week national park camper. So if you look here, it's very long. I have the solar panels propped up. That's 3 100-watt solar panels mounted together. Then I created a hinge by using a piece of conduit pole, and it hinges up and down, and I can put it at different heights to chase the sun. This is a Starlink Mini. This is a giant 270-degree awning. All of this is overkill for a minivan, I get it. But the plan is to lift all of this off and put it on the next vehicle, some sort of an overlander type situation. Then over here, I have storage. This becomes storage when you're parked and camping. Everything gets shoved up to the front. I have a shelf that sits up here. This also doubles outside as a table, and it can hook up here as a cooktop. And I have my faucet actually comes out to here too, and the little hose goes through back to the tank. And the sink is removable, so the sink can pull out and it goes into the shelf too. So just multi-purpose in van life. You're trying to do 2 or 3 things. This shelf also hooks on the other side as a workbench. Just a bunch of trash up there while you're camping, just shove everything up there. I started with 2 of the Thule crossbars, and then that was how I mounted. There's a roof box hidden under here, a silver roof box, and it requires 2, but it's only adjustable so much. Your crossbars have to be in certain positions. Then I bought this massive awning, and it needs 3 supports. So already I needed another crossbar. So these L brackets lift it up, and luckily it's still mounted in 3 places, and it's very, very solid. The minivan didn't come with any side rails or crossbars. And so it did have a little strip thing here that I didn't trust. So I actually had what's called top tracks for Thule and Yakima, 60 inches long installed. They're riveted in, had that professionally installed. So it can handle more weight. I can hold basically 150 pounds up here. These are totally adjustable. I just can't move them because I've locked myself into this design. So now I can't, but yeah, they totally can slide up and down. These are awning poles that actually normally go with this. Awning it's freestanding pretty much, but it also has 3 poles that come down that are hooked into it. These are the extra poles for this if it's really windy. So this one really has 5 poles. But these 2 poles I now use, I pull these over and I use them on my shower tent on the other side, kind of lift it up higher and to stabilize it in the wind. I bought this for the next build, whatever that is. I just got a good deal on it, and it was ridiculous overkill for a minivan. It's amazing, you know. It's just that it's overkill. It weighs 70 pounds. It's just not, you know, I can't. I'm keeping it, but for here it's overkill. But it does not make a lot of noise. I don't get a lot of sway. I'm amazed because I had worse problems. I had a Nissan Xterra before this, and I had whistling on those roof bars. For whatever reason, I got really lucky, and the airflow is good, and I don't get blown around by the semis. I'm not, maybe because I'm so low to the ground, but I'm really impressed. So what's interesting about the Solar, the way I hinged it without making a hinge, was I started with, these are awning brackets, the exact same awning brackets that come with this. I bought 2 extras, used the same track behind it, mounted them upside down. So it gave me this little L shape here, right angle. And then I mount this steel bar all the way across, and the solar panels are mounted to that steel bar, that conduit, and it just rotates inside these little, you can't exactly, on the other side you can see if there's a hoop, and it rotates in these steel eyelets. It's just a free floating hinge idea without using something that you have to screw a bunch of screws into a hinge.
All right, Ray, so a lot of people might call this either their garage or their spare, you know, their storage room. What's your your take on this?
Kind of like a dumpster? No, sorry. It's a catch-all area, and it does not look pretty when you're camping because you shove everything up there. Normally those pillows would be back on the bed, but right now I've got you can't see, pillows are on the other side, towels. I have a few extras, but this is kind of the way it is. It's kind of like Jenga. You're always moving something around in a minivan when you have so much stuff in it.
All right, Ray, so can you tell me a little bit about this very interesting and unique bed setup that you have?
Yeah, so it's a sofa bed convertible. The cushions are 5 inches thick. I wanted something really comfortable, and it's covered in sunbrella fabric, which is patio furniture cover, so it's already UV resistant and water resistant. The bed is 30 inches wide, and it's 75 inches long, which is just, I'm 6'1", so it's just long enough for me. Other cushions that are back there with you, Marty, are sitting back, and then when you pull it down, they drop down, but this is put in 500-pound drawer slides I'm kind of heavy, but anyway, so that to make it easier to pull, and there's a little catch and it locks into place. And then first thing I do is I pull out, I have dry food storage under here that I pull out, and I take these little baskets out, and they need to slide forward. Then I can pull it out like this, and it just drops into place. And then I have 1 extra cushion here. There's a little story behind it, but this is a thin cushion because I'm tall. It actually, and I have long legs, it actually is more comfortable this. So this is an extra cushion that I just put out of the way. Then I drag all of these cushions down. So like I made the bed lower to the ground because I'm 6'1", but I still fit in here, just barely, but it's comfortable. A nice little LED light for the stove for cooking. This is a travel router that I have that I use with Starlink. Got little puck lights around the whole thing too that work on a little remote, and that little remote just sticks on the wall over here, right there. Makes it very convenient. Then I have more lights up here. Over here I have my fire extinguisher. I've got a temperature readout from ThermoPro. I've got a rechargeable battery. I use rechargeable batteries in all of my pucks and other things. A little place to hang my hats and stuff. I've got a phone charger that also charges my watch. Little thing with Kleenex here. I hang my headphones, my noise canceling headphones that I use all the time. A little remote for my TV and Roku player. Just some snacks and things. And then back here, I have a DC charger that goes with my Blue Eddy power station. This is new to me. This is an all-in-one fridge freezer. I did have, same brand, this is Bodega. I had two smaller ones and I loved them, but I had sort of a bad design setup and it was overheating. One was heating the other one up and I didn't have it vented properly. So I switched those two out, and those were low profile and I really loved them. But I got the larger one, same amount of space for everything, but I lose a little bit of storage space in one of those cubbies. It's just harder to get into, but I really like it. And everything is app controlled. So when I'm driving, I can see everything on my temperature on the fridge and freezer, but also the power station. I have the app for that. So I know how much solar is coming in. I know how much power that I'm using when I'm driving. Some utensils and some other cooking things up in here. Then down here I have a long butcher block countertop, and it has plenty of room for my stove. And I have an air fryer up front, and then all that kind of makes its way over to my sink box here, which is actually movable. I can move it back and I can mount it to the floor back here in this position if I want to have a passenger in the front seat. And it's locked down, so it's safe when I'm driving. But this sink box is a small wood box with a little white tile stick on that you can get anywhere. I've got a nice little electric water kettle I use for making coffee in the morning. I've got a plug. I have power into here. This is one thing. This whole thing has a lot of power plugs in it. And then I have coffee drawers for coffee and things, and a little trash can in here. And then I also have a removable spice rack. My sink is a mixing bowl. I just took a regular old mixing bowl and used a hole saw and drilled a hole in it, put in a little bathroom drain assembly in it, and it makes it easy to lift out. You can just dump it out of here or whatever. But it's really easy in and out, and it slides right down into the gray water tank below. And for that, I use two 3-gallon water tanks that you can get anywhere, water jugs. And the pump is a USB rechargeable pump here. This is usually used on the top of those, in offices, on top of the 5-gallon jugs of water. And then I run it through and down to my tanks, and I have a quick connect that I plug in, quickly can connect and disconnect. So at night, I put these things into the shelf for storage. I get them out of the way, my air fryer, unplug it, move it out of the way. And now my countertop has hinges on it so that I can fold it back this way. I also have little magnets here that hold it in place so it doesn't go anywhere. My fan tilts out of the way. It's out of the way. I even have a little mirror here. Anyway, and now this box is an emergency toilet. So I'm going to take the lid off here, stay here, pull it out of the way. And this, don't worry, it's clean. I'll show you the different layers of it. I wanted a full-size toilet. It's just very low profile because I'm so tall. And what I have here is, if you look, this is a 3D printed urine diverter. I had to have that custom made, and I custom designed it because I couldn't find any funnels that would fit. And then if you wanted to lean in, look, there's a water tank down in here. It's very low profile. And here, this holds the number ones. And then I have a 3-gallon, very low profile bucket with a flat edge on it, also known as a painter's bucket. And that gives me, it's kind of a DIY composting toilet setup, but you just use bags. And for the fill material, I use cedar shavings.
All right, so here's the real question though. Is that a soft close?
You're so funny. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, of course it is, man.
So because it might help with on the road bouncing and stuff maybe as well.
My tolerances of everything I made in here is micro thin. So when this is on it, it doesn't move.
Okay. Nice.
There is minimal. I've had more rattling on this forest road than ever on anything. Everything's in there. I have a situation like a trigger with noises and certain rattles. Yep. So I will pull off the freeway and figure it out.
I'm the same way.
So it just drives me crazy. So that's another thing that's amazed me in the whole thing. It really, there's not a lot of rattling. There's not too much, it's acceptable depending on the road, but not too much. And then everything is made to stay. And it's been tested and pretty much stays. I have all this extra power in here because I need to run that air fryer. And then if I want to heat something up in a microwave, I can show you that too. I've got a microwave hidden down in here. So down here under the countertop, I have kind of a hidden microwave, and I have a little hinged door. And the microwave I've mounted a handle and some wheels to it so I can roll it in and out. I don't do a lot of cooking in the microwave, but it's fun to have. So back here, I want to show you the power station. Blue Eddy AC200L power station is basically 2,000 kilowatts. 2 kilowatts. 2,000 watt hours, and I run an AC plug up to the front to that sink box, and then I run a plug over to The countertop, I have another plug module. One runs up to the microwave. That's the AC outlets that I'm using right now. Then I have a DC breakout box. That's this right here. This supplies power to my fuse panel, which I can show you in a second, but it's a 40 amp breakout box for DC power only. You can use this for other things, charging batteries and other great stuff, but I just have it wired directly back under. It's kind of hidden. You can see all of the wires here are kind of meticulously taped into place and labeled. I'm kind of anal about that stuff. But then I also have a 12 volt out that goes to my CPAP machine for sleeping for night. And then I have another small 700 watt hour Blue Eddy down in here, power station in here, just for Starlink, and that's a new addition that I use. And for safety, if I ever get too low on the big one, I have a little bit of a backup power. So over here, I have some storage on the top, and under there, I have storage for paper towels and for toilet paper and for Kleenex. And I have a 7-gallon water tank just for showers and hosing things off. And I didn't want to have to lift this stuff up every time, so I installed an RV quick connect inside this little box I built. And so that I can, at any time I want to do the shower or use the water, I just turn on my water pump and I can come out here and I got really good pressure. So on this side of the van, I put my fuse panel for all my 12 volt stuff here so I could get to it really easily. And that's a tip. Don't bury your fuses or your wiring someplace where you can't get to it, because things will break and fuses will blow and you need to get to it. So all of my 12 volt stuff comes into here, into this fuse panel. I also have, actually for AC stuff, I actually have my tool charger here for my 20 volt tools, and I got a little charger built in there for easy access. And this is that quick connect rail I also mentioned. That shelf also comes out here and it works as a workbench, and I can do things and piddle around and stuff. So you can see I have a Renogy 1000 watt inverter mounted down there. That is only to be used for when I'm driving and when there's not enough sun for the solar. That is directly wired to my battery, and I have a 200 amp circuit breaker in line. And so I have a stock alternator, so I really don't like to use it a lot, but I can pull up to 1000 watts. I don't, but I pull 400 watts comfortably, and then I send that back to the Blue Eddies and charge them when I'm driving.
Do you have any recommendations for a work-life balance in such a confined space?
Yeah, don't live outside the van, not inside the van. I mean, this is great, but look at how small it is. So basically you go nuts if you're in here for all day. So you try to be in the nice temperature and you get to a nice environment and try to be outside wherever you can be. I have to have internet, so I need to be tethered to the car. If you don't have to be tethered that close to the car, then go get out and go do something and stay away from it a little bit. But I've been remote for way longer than I've been. This is new to me, the van thing, but I've been remote for over 10 years. So I'm already used to that kind of lifestyle, but I've always had high-speed internet where I was.
So the next thing I wanted to ask you about is, I've seen your YouTube channel, and first of all, as someone who's just kind of like an amateur, love the quality of your editing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
But what I wanted to ask is, what is your goal or hopes for that YouTube channel at Ray Rambles?
Well, first, the name is not called the Minivan guy or anything. It's Ray Rambles because I want it to evolve into other things. But I actually have ADHD, so I do ramble a lot. And anybody that knows me, I'm all over and then focus. And so even into adulthood, it's just never left me. But so I want to interview people and I want to like learn their stories, but I also like to go places and little road trips. And I'm just figuring it out. I don't have an exact plan, but I'm open to anything. And wherever it goes is fun. I'd like this, and I like why people build, why they got into it. I like all of that, but everybody's reason is different. And especially you get to different ages, and I find it interesting. Yeah, I won't always be in something like this minivan. My next idea is for a box truck, and I want to build it out. But I also want to buy some land somewhere, maybe Arizona, and maybe even build a container home or something, but then travel around. But I don't want to be 100% van. I like having a little bit of a sticks and bricks, even if it's not traditional. It could be a tiny house or anything. So my next step would probably in the next 2 or 3 years would be to continue meeting people and doing stories, mainly out west, maybe, I don't know. Buy some land out there in Arizona and create a homestead or something, I don't know.
What would be your number one advice to anybody who is planning to maybe dive into this minivan camper life kind of stuff?
Start simple. Do not do what I did. This is way too much. You don't need all this. Start simple, figure out what you need, add it one little piece at a time. I actually do wish that I had started simple instead of overbuilding it. So that's my number one thing would be just go do it, start simple, and then add slowly, piece by piece.
Folks want to reach out to you or find you, follow you, what kind of, how can they get you?
Yeah, just on YouTube. I have a channel called @Ray Rambles, and then rayrambles.com.